resistance is. Air density drops exponentially, but drag increases with the square. An exponential beats a square. The higher you go, the faster you will go for the same amount of energy. And at a certain altitude, you can go supersonic with less energy per mile, quite a lot less energy per mile than an aircraft at 35,000 feet, because it's just a force balance.
I'm too stupid for this conversation.
It makes sense, though.
No, I'm sure it does. Now, when you think about this new idea of designing, I mean, when you have this idea about improving planes, are you going to bring this to somebody? Or you just chuck this
Well, I have
around?
a lot on my plate.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how you do what you do now, but if you keep coming up with these, but it's got to be hard to pawn these off on someone else either. Hey, go do a good job with this vertical takeoff and landing system that I want to implement to regular planes.
The electric airplane isn't necessary right now. Electric cars are important.
We need
Solar energy is important. Stationary storage of energy is important. These things are much more important than creating electric supersonic VTOL. Also, the planes naturally, you really want that gravitational energy density for an aircraft, and this is improving over time. So, it's important that we accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. That's why electric cars, it matters whether electric cars happen sooner or later. We're really playing a crazy game here with the atmosphere and the oceans. We're taking vast amounts of carbon from deep underground and putting this in the atmosphere. This is crazy. We should not do this. It's very dangerous. So we should accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. I mean, the bizarre thing is that obviously we're going to run out of oil in the long term. There's only so much oil we can mine and burn. It's tautological. We must have a sustainable energy transport and energy infrastructure in the long term. So we know that's the end point. We know that. So why run this crazy experiment where we take trillions of tons of carbon from underground and put it in the atmosphere and oceans? This is an insane experiment. It's the dumbest experiment in human history. Why are we doing this? It's crazy.
Do you think this is a product of momentum, that we started off doing this when it was just a few engines, a few 100 million gallons of fuel over the whole world, not that big of a deal, and then slowly but surely over a century it got out of control? And now it's not just our fuel, but it's also fossil fuels are involved in so many different electronics, so many different items that people buy. There's just this constant desire for fossil fuels, constant need for oil, without consideration of the sustainability.
The things like oil, coal, gas, it's the easy money.
Right.
It's easy money. So,
have you heard about clean coal? The president's been tweeting about it. It's got to be real. Clean coal, all caps. Did you see? He used all caps. Clean coal.
Well, it's very difficult to put that CO2 back in the ground. It doesn't like being in solid form.
Have you thought about something like that? Like some sort of a filter? Giant building-sized filter sucks carbon out of the atmosphere? Is that possible?
No, it doesn't. Not possible.
No?
Nope.
No.
Nope, definitely
so
not.
We're fucked.
No, we're not fucked. I mean, this is quite a complex question.
Right.
We're really just the more carbon we take out of the ground and add to the atmosphere, and a lot of it gets permeated into the oceans, the more dangerous it is. I don't think right now. I think we're okay right now. We can probably even add some more, but the momentum towards sustainable energy is too slow. There's a vast base of industry, vast transportation system. There's 2.5 billion cars and trucks in the world. So, and the new car and truck production, if it was 100% electric, that's only about 100 million per year. So it would take, if you could snap your fingers and instantly turn all cars and trucks electric, it would still take 25 years to change the transport base to electric. Makes sense, because how long does a car truck last before it goes into the junkyard and gets crushed? About 20 to 25 years.
Is there a way to accelerate that process, like some sort of subsidies or some encouragement from the government financially?
Well, the thing that is going on right now is that there's an inherent subsidy in any oil-burning device. Any power plant or car is fundamentally consuming the carbon capacity of the oceans and atmosphere, or just say atmosphere for short. So like you can say, like, okay, there's a certain probability of something bad happening past a certain carbon concentration in the atmosphere. And so there's some uncertain number where if we put too much carbon in the atmosphere, things overheat, oceans warm up, ice caps melt, ocean real estate becomes a lot less valuable, something's underwater. But it's not clear what that number is, but it's definitely, scientists would all, it's really quite, the scientific consensus is overwhelming. Overwhelming. I mean, I don't know any serious scientists, actually zero, literally zero, who don't think that, that we have quite a serious climate risk that we're facing. And so there's fundamentally a subsidy occurring with every fossil fuel burning thing. Power plants, aircraft, car, frankly even rockets. I mean, rockets use up, they burn fuel. But there's just, with rockets, there's just no other way to get to orbit, unfortunately. So it's the only way. But with cars, there's definitely a better way with electric cars. And to generate the energy, do so with photovoltaics, because we've got a giant thermonuclear reactor in the sky called the sun. It's great. It sort of shows up every day. Very reliable. So if you can generate energy from solar panels, store it with batteries, you can have energy 24 hours a day. And then you can, can send it to the poles or near to the north with high voltage lines. Also, the northern parts of the world tend to have a lot of hydropower as well. But anyway, all fossil fuel powered things have an inherent subsidy, which is their consumption of the carbon capacity of the atmosphere and oceans. So people tend to think like, why should electric vehicles have a subsidy? But they're not taking into account that all fossil fuel burning vehicles fundamentally are subsidized by the environmental cost to Earth. But nobody's paying for it. We are.